Hi, so perfume fans, I have a little surprise. So you saw maybe in the previous video that I have this cabinet, which is always closed with a lock in the store. So this is one of those little cabinet of curiosity. I hope every one of you has one or has started one. You know, the little precious thing that we like, that we don't show to everybody. Some are just to watch with the eyes and some are to smell. But like in perfumery, each time you smell something, you consume the thing, which is very unique. Not many arts have that issue. Dancing is very ephemeral, and but you can still have a video. Perfumery, each time you watch, you sniff the art, you consume it. So some things you will see cannot be smelled all the time. So starting with the top, this is Yves Saint Laurent, the Paris by Yves Saint Laurent, by Sofia Grojsman, with whom I trained, or that I don't want to say, well, once she worked on my formula, I have to say, which was very cool to see. But let's say we exchanged. So she was not a formal mentor, but we exchanged quite a bit, and quite extraordinary. And to tell you something, very interestingly, in her formula, she would mix big blocks, some of big ingredients that smell very strong, so this is actually quite famous, and mixed with little cacamimi, they would call them, she would call them, tiny little bit, sometimes solutions are 1% of other ingredients, just to give a little something. So this I've always noticed from her. Second, you see, I have a big bottle of Fierce in there that I had to buy by myself. And then I have this cachalot whale, the sperm whale in English, cachalot in French. So interestingly enough, the cachalot whale is found in all the seas, all water temperature in the world, one of the very few whales in that case. And the Hudson River here along New York, you know, that starts all the way up by Canada and goes down to the Statue of Liberty here, that big river on which the plane landed, you remember? So that was a big whaling, Hudson town, up 2 hours north from New York, was a big whaling town where they would cut those whales, and they were using, for instance, the sperm from this part here, which has nothing to do with sperm, but it was a very white liquid, to do lamp oil, for instance. So that was a big whaling town up there. There's the whale hotel, if you go. The Whaler Hotel, and then I have a little piece of ambergris, you see. So ambergris, again, smells very horsey, barny, leathery, and then a little bit like iodine. You can see a little bit like iodine, the low tide, but just like a wet rock during the low tide, you see? Voila. So you see that, but first it's very leathery, horsey, barny. So I have 2 pieces of ambergris in there. And then I have one of my Nice by Mae West. If you only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. So I like Mae West. And you know another thing that she said? She said she says a lot of a good thing is just wonderful. And she was in prison at the women's prison that is down the street, that was down the street, got destroyed. So it's quite interesting. This is the flute that Amanda used when she drank the champagne, when we dosed the champagne inside a fragrance, and I'm keeping with the lipstick on the flute. I washed it, and I'm just keeping it as a souvenir. She doesn't even know I did that, but I like a few souvenirs. It's a special moment. And I have you can see I have a polo blue factice that I found. And I have a bottle of, so this one is old, I've never opened it. You see it lost most of the alcohol, most likely, and probably the bergamot as well. There's only a little bit left, but it's still sealed, a Mitsuko. Now, you should know that I have a similar bottle that I kept in the fridge with, I would say, oil up to here, also sealed. I opened it the other day. I've sent it for GC analysis. I told you I'm going to publish a lot of GC analysis, so we will have an historical Mitsuko analysis, and then we can see, we can discuss it, and people can see. I have an old carré. So this is the wife of the landlord that gave me this. She went to Studio 54. She was quite a cuckoo person, and she gave me an old carré by Hermes, which was about perfume bottles from Hermes. So it's quite nice that they did that. And last but not least, you see in that coffret here. So I'm going to bring it to you. So it's a little visit. You see? So that coffret was done with the EFF and Visionnaire magazine. Visionnaire magazine are magazines that are more like boxes full of different things, and this one was about scent. And I created 3 scents in there. For instance, you have number 8 in here, which is the one for David Bowie and Iman. I created them, which was about success. There's one about heat, and it's interesting because it's a picture of on the beach in Odessa by a photographer, Philippe Locard de Corsia. So first of all, 8, that was the picture. And you see here, it says, maybe you can see, David Bowie and perfumer Christophe Daniel. I created one which is for Kate Moss, you see, for Kate Moss when she gave birth to her daughter, and the fragrance is called Mother. It's a nice powdery fragrance, and I know she loved that fragrance, but it was not commercial enough to launch because then I think she signed with some companies like Coty or someone. And then, so for me, asked me to recreate a fragrance that I made that is very signature, and then to make it very commercial, I could not. So I failed some projects like that, especially one with my Lush that was very famous at IFF. And I did not realize that the client wanted me basically to do an Aqua di Gio out of it, or a Cool Water at the time, or an Eternity for Men, or I don't know what. And so I was still keeping the Lush character and just doing some little things around it, and that didn't go well. That's okay, I did not know, I know better now when you do commercial perfumery. That's also why, by the way, I want to publish some GCs. You will see some fragrances that actually not launched as commercial fragrances, but when you see the GC, you're going to consider the fragrance in a very different way. Again, I'm publishing those GCs, some to appreciate the art. People will see how clever or how complicated the formula is, and some you will see how it's just bluff. And till you teach the public, you cannot learn. Till you teach bluff, you cannot learn it when you don't know at all. And so for people that have do a certain quality of perfumery or some creative perfumery, sometimes it's the combination of ingredients that is very original, and sometimes it's what the ingredients itself, and sometimes it's both. I mean, it's a big debate, that's fine. But at least you raise the debate out of just bluff because the audience is ignorant. So I want to break that because creation and quality ingredients don't deserve that in perfumery, and also for the perfumers that do that, it's I don't see any other solution, and it's okay. I think it's fine. We publish sheet music, we should publish fragrance GCs. Everybody has them in the industry, so don't worry, it's not a big secret I'm putting out there. I'm just showing the public what everybody in the profession has anyway. But I've purchased or had the GC done on my budget so that they actually belong to me, and I'm not again sneaking them out of perfume houses. So that's the I think it was in Odessa actually, this picture by Philippe Locard de Corsia, and it's called Heat, and I recreated. I wanted people to see how you create the heat, so I can already see the questions. One day I'll explain. That's very creative, and so some things I keep my little secrets. There are not so many ingredients that create heat, I find. Yeah, we can discuss, because one combination I use in the Canyon by Keep, the Candle Canyon by Keep Brooklyn, which you can buy in the store. And how do you create the effect of heat without the rain? So it's not just the the heat after the rain. When you have the rain, it's already a little easier, but without the rain. So, voilà. So these are things, and then I have the box by Orlan in here. I created, she's a very famous artist, in France at least. You know, they operated her, removing some bone and to make her two little horns here from her bones. And her body basically is a piece of art. And when that came out, that picture came out in the 70s, she wanted to show how the women is used as an object. And she had a device, metallic device. You would put 5 francs here, and then that was for her to kiss you. You put 5 francs, it would fall here in her pelvis, and then she would give you a kiss for 5 francs. And so that was quite a thing at this international art fair in Paris. And if I can open this box, I created, she asked me to create for her. So you see, it's the fragrances have deviated a little bit, but basically, so sorry, you see one pump in here, you see the pump, there's another one here, but it's at the bottom here and another one here. And so the story was to have Orlan, the body, Orlan, the Saint Orlan, the Holy Orlan, and then when you mix those two, you get the real Orlan, the real lady, which has always, not always, but that was a concept, which is torn, and I think for guys is the same. You know, we are always torn between our little devil and our little sanctity, holiness, voilà. But she wanted to play with this kind of facets. Voilà. So there are still a few boxes. I don't sell them. I only have like 1 or 2. So this is as a collector item. I think I have one in the fridge and one I keep here in those pumps. One day maybe I need to recreate this. Voilà, so I wanted to give you a little tour. And the last one I have, you see that vase in the back. So one day I'll take it out, but you see it's an African vase that I bought, not so expensive. I bought it in Hudson actually, and I was asking, and I thought it was broken. You see that hole here, it's broken. You think it's broken, but it's actually broken on purpose. So as you can tell, I did not know much about African art, and and so the gentleman explained to me, and after that I checked. They do this on purpose. It's to let the bad spirits out. And one day I want to put a scent inside. I sit on the wall, and then people with a straw, because that works very well. If you have a straw and you smell, this I've done because in some technical projects you have. Yes, in some technical projects, that is true. You have to smell inside cartridges or inside a little hole or inside or little pellets, but you have one pellet that is sanded here, another one here, another one here. It was very defined. Some technologies, you have to check the smell in situ of those different things when you are loading some cartridges. And believe it or not, if you take a straw and you smell like that, you can smell exactly above exactly that little headspace, and it works very, very well. So here I want people to take a straw. I'm not a straw person, I can tell you, but to take a straw, and so that's one plastic I don't use, and to smell in there without seeing the thing. To smell, I think it will be quite fantastic to smell something without looking at it. And like maybe at an event we'll do that. I'll pass around. I put maybe a little bit of certain absolute or maybe something from Africa, an ingredient from Namibia. I'm using a few ingredients at the moment, etc. So I think that would be quite interesting. Voilà. So you had a little tour of my cabinet des curiosités, and voilà. So create your own little cabinet des curiosités, Wunderkammer. I don't know how you say that, your curiosity cabinet or your wonder closet or whatever you call it. This is like the one of a perfumer. And I have another one which is a fridge where I have my vintage fragrances. So then it's only scents in there. And here I put a few objects, as you could see. Voilà. Thank you.